I got a suggestion from somebody to talk about dogmatism and infighting among radical feminists. And I'm going to talk about that, but not in the way the person suggesting it probably wanted me to. I know that they were suggesting I speak about it in the way that it separates women or radical feminists or drives a wedge between them. But I have different feelings on being dogmatic and supposed infighting among radical feminists. I think calling it infighting, for one, is a bit patriarchal, a bit anti-woman in itself, because women can disagree. Women can vehemently disagree. Women can dislike other women. It's not anti-feminist to not like somebody or to not agree with somebody. So to call it infighting just seems like a bit of a buzzword. I don't know. I would like to see somebody provide an example of what they mean when they say infighting, because certainly I have seen radical feminists online disagree or dislike each other, or, have a back and forth with each other about how much they disagree, whatever. But that's fine. We aren't always going to agree on everything. So when it comes to talking about infighting, I don't really like that term. I also think that it is another way, in a certain regard, to control us. When you talk about infighting, it's almost like shaming. Like, if you can hear my washer in the background, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's loud. When you call women in radical feminism disagreeing with each other, arguing with each other, whatever, when you call that infighting, to me, it's a low-key jab and shaming tactic. It's almost on the same lines as saying that a woman isn't being very ladylike. Just a different word. But it is a way, I think, to police women's language and anger. When you talk about how there's infighting among radical feminists. No, there's disagreements, arguments, dislike, but that's fine. That's fine. As long as we can work on the important issues that need to be worked on, then who cares if we don't like each other outside of that issue, Like, I don't know. I don't really have many, relationships with radical feminists online, I don't think. Like, there's a few women I chit-chat to every now and again on Instagram or via email. But yeah, I don't think that there's ever really been any fighting between us. And even the things I've seen online of other radical feminists getting into it, it's like, okay, then that's fine. We're human beings, and not all human beings like each other. And having a belief in a common thing, that is radical feminism, doesn't erase human personalities that don't get along. So I'm not here to talk about infighting among radical feminists, because I'm fine with the idea that some of us don't like each other. That's fine. Now, when it comes to dogmatism, I believe the suggester of this topic was inferring that radical feminists can be too dogmatic, and I completely disagree with that. I think many radical feminists are not dogmatic enough. I've said this before, but when I use the word radical feminist, yes, we all know radical is from the Latin for to the root. That's like the common thing that every single radical feminist says. Radical means to the root, getting to the root of female oppression, which is our biology. Yes, that's true. That's what radical feminist means. But it also means, the word radical also means relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something, far-reaching or thorough, advocating or based on thorough or complete political change, representing or supporting an extreme or progressive section of a political party. So it also means completely thorough, fundamental, extreme change. So when I call myself a radical feminist, when I talk about being a radical feminist, when I talk about radical feminism, I'm not only talking about the to the root female biology thing. I mean radical. I mean dogmatic. Because if you're not going to be dogmatic about radical feminism, what are you going to accomplish? If you're going to say, well, this can slide, oh, well, that can slide, then what's the point? If you're going to be a radical feminist and say, oh, makeup is fine, oh, being feminine is fine, oh, high heels are fine, marrying men is fine, birthing more children is fine, but you can still be a radical feminist. Huh? Have you read a single book on radical feminism? Have you read any of our foremothers' work and theorizing and philosophies on radical feminism? No. Radical feminism has tenets and pillars, and you can't pick and choose the ones you want and the ones you don't, because then you're not a radical feminist. Like, oh, my shoes are squeaking on my freaking bar stool. Sorry. And if you're not a radical feminist, that's fine. I would much prefer women out there who are just feminists in some regard, whatever that means to them, but who say, I don't really agree with this, or I can't support this right now, or I can't be a part of this, or I can't, or I won't, whatever, when it comes to radical feminism, and say, so maybe radical feminism isn't really for me right now. Oh my God, my washer is so loud. I'm so sorry. That would be so much more preferable to me than women who say they're radical feminists, but have excuses for the things they and others do or want to participate in, yet maintain that they're still radical feminists. No. Sorry. Not sorry. There are, I don't want to say rules, because there's not like the 10 commandments of radical feminism, but there are obvious concepts and ideas and understandings when it comes to radical feminism, and that is that women should separate from men as much as they can. Partnering with men only contributes to your own oppression. Relying on men only keeps you down. Performing femininity is a patriarchal tool of oppression and domination of women, and submitting to that is not appropriate when you're a radical feminist. So that goes for makeup, that goes for dressing, in bizarre female clothing that is not designed for any comfort or function whatsoever. That goes for high heels, that goes for playing office politics with giggling at men's jokes and shit. You can stop doing that shit. You can and you should if you are a radical feminist. If you're not a radical feminist and you want to play those games or you want to participate in that stuff, fine, but don't call yourself a radical feminist. Be a feminist, I guess, whatever that means to you. I personally think radical feminism or Marxist feminism is really the only appropriate feminism, because otherwise, if you're still playing the games of patriarchy, what's the point? So I just, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that someone suggested I talk about dogmatism and radical feminism, and I knew they meant one thing, and I went completely the opposite way because I am dogmatic about my radical feminism, and I think more women should be.